Good evening and welcome to the Roundup on the Open Range Record. Tonight I'm joined by a couple of our journalists, Don Marquardt and Sarah Hendrix. Welcome back to the show. It's been kind of a long day, and so we've got a number of things we want to talk about tonight. First, I want to remind you about a couple of things. Don't forget about our mobile app. We have an iOS app and an Android app. You can get them both at the App Store. Weird, get apps at the App Store. But they're really great. They look just like, it appears just like the website. It's almost as functional as the website. And so go download those. Also, thank you very much for paying attention to all of the articles. We've got a lot of really good responses. And so keep it up. And if there's something that you'd like, let us know. And if there's something that you don't, well, let us know that too. So we've got a number of topics here, and I think the biggest one that irritated all of us today is it certainly appears like we're wasting a bunch of time. It's a budget session, time is really compressed, and there's, almost every year, there's at least 100 different amendments to the budget. 2 years ago, I think it was around 100 on second reading. It was like 80 some. But this year we got 122. And so, first question, Dawn, you were there in the House chamber before I was.
Right.
What do you think? Do you think we're wasting time, or what do you think?
Well, I think we are wasting time, and that's kind of their game plan.
Okay, well, go ahead. Expound
Because they
on that.
want to say that the conservatives can't govern. So they want to kind of throw every roadblock in there that they can to try to make them look silly. But I think it's starting to turn around on them. Because one of Landon Brown things when they were talking about the University of Wyoming is he kind of threw out there that a lot of you sitting in this chamber have never been to the University
That
of
was
Wyoming.
really insulting.
Yes, it was rude. And I just can't believe that these people aren't self-aware.
Well, there is a real lack of self-awareness from a lot of them, and so I want to go to Sarah because kind of new in the state, been here a couple of years. Why don't you give us your impression? We wasting time, or are they just really covering every detail?
I fully believe they're wasting time, and personally, I find it a little insulting. Mm-hmm. We contact our legislators, and they come and spend time with us and take the time to listen to what we want and what our concerns are. And then they work really hard to draft these bills and people stand there and nitpick things that aren't really important. And a lot of the testimony was more personal. 27 people in my family graduated from UW and it's really well, that has nothing to do with the bill that we're talking about.
Right. It's all emotional.
Yeah.
Emotionally based arguments.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's kind of drill down on this a little bit. The biggest amendment that they were talking about was a $40 million cut to the University of Wyoming. But I don't want to go there first. I want to talk about some of the other cuts that were made. And we've kind of talked around the periphery of this one. But I think it's a hot button issue, and I'm sure everybody on our panel has probably some pretty strong feelings about it. One of the bigger ones was to Wyoming PBS. And what happened there is the Trump administration in the big beautiful bill defunded PBS. In fact, that's no longer the Corporation for Public Broadcasting no longer exists. They self-dissolved is what they did. Well, so Wyoming PBS got, I don't know the exact number, but several $1 million from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. That got cut off, and essentially they came to the legislature and said, you need to replace that money. And so I guess first where I'd like to start is let's just talk in general about Wyoming PBS. So we'll go to Sarah first.
I've never watched it.
I thought their programming was great.
I've never even felt the need to look.
Okay, so
yeah.
So why then? I mean, we're always told that the programming on Wyoming PBS is fantastic, that we can't do without it, that it's some of the highest quality programming ever. And then here in Wyoming, you add on top of it, they always use the argument, it's part of the emergency broadcast system. Okay, so first,
Across your phone or your watch
Exactly.
anymore.
Yeah.
well, and so Agent 29, Representative Pendergraft, he has this joke. He's like, well, if it is the part of the emergency broadcast system, he says, everybody's already seen it on Facebook.
Right.
And the 5 people that are watching PBS, they've already seen it too.
Yep.
So it's really not, really not part of that. But there was a big fight over it. And that was part of the cuts to the University of Wyoming. So let's just kind of talk in general. Why don't we need Wyoming PBS? And let's go to Dawn first.
Well, if you've got to fund it and it's not giving you both sides of the story, a lot of people aren't watching it because people want to get a well-rounded view of what's going on. They want to hear both sides of the story. We're finding that out now.
Absolutely.
With Open Range Records. So, they might have a good documentary here and there about Wyoming that might be, pertinent, but most people don't watch it.
Well,
They want their entertainment from somewhere else.
yeah.
So,
All right, Sarah, you're moved here from Washington State. So what? I guess my question is, did you have the same argument about PBS, or did you hear of the same argument in Washington that we have here? That it's useless, that we don't need it. That
Yes.
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So then, next question then, name, image, likeness. There's a $6 million cut there. What do we think?
is that for the steamboat?
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
the name, image, likeness, that was a lawsuit that a bunch of college athletes filed against the NCAA.
Okay.
And the NCAA would pay, and I think it varies every year, but this time around, it was $6 million that the university would get from the NCAA that
Right,
just evaporated because of this name, image, likeness. So again, that funding source dried up, and the legislature came, or the university came to the legislature.
So then why don't they have their Cowboy Joe Club fund all that? Don't they fundraise the alumni society for something like that? And don't they end up having a plane that they use too to fly their members around?
Okay,
on?
so that's a different issue.
Oh, sorry.
All right, what Don is referring to there was a scandal, maybe it was last year, but the Cowboy Joe Club was using the state jet to fly, and we have 2 jets, by the way.
Right.
Was using the state jet to fly their donors to different games in far one place, Arizona and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. The Cowboy Joe Club does fundraise a lot, and they have funded a lot of stuff. Well, I think you bring up a good question. Why is the university not relying on private donors?
Well, can't they use their endowment for that too?
You
I
would
mean,
think.
why does it always have to be up to the taxpayers to fund this stuff?
Because it is the brown and
university,
gold.
whatever.
All right, we got to talk about this. All right, there were some of the most ridiculous things said. So let's go. Let's see if we can figure out our top 5. Sarah, what was your favorite thing? Or no, number 5 on your list of crazy things that was said.
They bleed brown and gold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they bleed brown and gold.
Yeah.
Dawn, what's
And
your
they
favorite one?
weren't they talking about wearing their brown and gold on the floor too?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Look at all these jackets.
And didn't we last year pass a brown and gold day?
There is a brown and gold day. That is absolutely correct. But there were a lot of different things. So give me some more of them. Let's tell our audience what we had to endure.
Just the whining. I mean, there was a lot of whining on the floor about it. It's like we can't live without the $40 million. And it was like, what? 10%, not even a 10%
No.
cut about what all they were going to get. So
The university is funded to the tune of this ought to be a jaw-dropping number for everybody watching this show. But for every biennium, the university is funded to the tune of, last number I saw was $480 million. So almost $500 million is what we pay the university. Now, were you two sitting there when it was Representative Johnson who got up and compared the amount of money that Colorado funds CSU to Wyoming? So let's talk about that for a minute. So we have the comparison to CSU, which is just down the road
Right.
Right.
and I mean, it is. I think they get $20 million, and we give them 480.
Right.
So I mean,
But wasn't one of the excuses because we were a small state and a small university, so we can give them more money?
all right, Sarah, I see
Yeah.
you're about bursting at the seams. So
Well,
let us have it.
that whole conversation was where it's the only university.
yeah.
So we have to pump more money into it so that we can get more out of it. But then at the same time, they argue that the kids are leaving. So
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
how
You're
many
kind of-
community colleges do we have in Wyoming?
I have
Don't
no
we
idea.
7?
7 or 8.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's probably a pretty good segue. And as you can tell tonight, we're pretty worn out because it's been a pretty long couple of days. So I know that last night I fell asleep on the couch, and I woke up about 12:30, and they were still going. And so I don't know. I think that they probably stopped about 1:30 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
But it's been a pretty wild day. So the next question, the next topic I think we want to talk about is we're always told our kids are leaving the state and they never come back. Okay, so first let's go to you, Dawn, first, and then we'll just kind of go around and let's just talk about this whole idea,
All
and then
right.
we'll give you the numbers.
So I took my daughter and 4 of her friends to Rock Springs one day for her birthday for sushi and to go to a movie. And as we were driving, I asked him, I said, so what are your guys' plans? Are you going to stay in Wyoming? What are you going to do? Well, they said they're going to go to UW. But then again, they said after that, they're not coming back.
Okay.
Because they want
What
to
have
go
you
out
done
and
to them?
yeah, well, I don't know. It's a small town, and I think they just want to get out and they want to experience life because there's nothing there for them, is what they were telling me. And I said, well, they're talking about all these nuclear jobs coming. You guys could get a job in the nuclear industry and get a high-paying job. Aren't you interested in that? No, we don't want a job in the nuclear industry, is what they tell me. So anyways, these kids just want to get out and experience life. They see stuff on social media and on the internet and their TikTok videos, and they want to get out and see something different. They want to be able to be close to amenities and sporting events and concerts and theaters and fast food. So shopping. They just want to experience life, and eventually they'll come back to Wyoming. Plus, the other thing is, sometimes they want to find a partner or spouse or something. And when
Right.
you come from a small town, like you said before,
Yeah, the
what
joke
was
is
that?
you don't lose your girlfriend, you lose your turn. It's terrible. I know. It's totally terrible. But all right, so I know when before we started the show and we were talking about this, Sarah, I know that you've got some thoughts on this. So go ahead and let us have it.
Well, the funniest thing is when we told our kids that we were moving to Wyoming, my younger son says, and we'd been talking about moving as a family, everybody, the kids, the grandkids coming, and they were okay with South Dakota, which was on the table for a while. And then when we narrowed it down to Wyoming, my son says, I'm not moving to Wyoming. They don't have Wi-Fi. So I'm like, yes, they do. So, and ours is actually faster than it was in the city. But anecdotally, I have met so many people who moved away and came back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, tons of people. They come back to take care of their parents. They come back because they got tired of the rush. And you know what? I just needed something more quiet. But I know so many people
Right.
who do come back.
Well, I have some younger nephews that got really good jobs in the oil field, being pumpers, contract pumpers, and then eventually they moved from contracting to going to work directly for an oil and gas company. I have a niece that works for Exxon. I mean, so there are jobs around. It's just depending on what the kids' interests are to stay.
Okay, so I think that's probably the first point, because we always hear that our kids are leaving because they can't find work here. That there aren't enough jobs.
Right.
Okay, well, first, there's a ton of different companies that are moving to the state. I mean, we're in Cheyenne right now, and I mean, you drive around, and there's everything from data centers to big banks. There's Microsoft here, IBM, and okay, so that's just around Cheyenne. But even if you go as far north as Sheridan, okay, there's Weatherby. I always forget the name of it, but I drive by it all the time. But there's a couple of other big industries there. Also, depending on where you're at in the state, there's the mineral industry.
Right.
If you go to Gillette, there's the coal mines. If you move a little bit south, there's uranium, and then when you get to down your neck of the woods, Don,
Oil and gas.
Trona, all sorts of stuff. So it's really not true that there aren't jobs here. But let's go through the numbers. And this is a handy little document that I got from one of our legislator pals. And so let me just read you the introduction to it, and then we'll kind of work through the numbers. And so this is from analysis of out-migration in the state. So based on the general ACS migration pattern research, estimates and relative ranked differences can be constructed for illustrative comparison. So in Wyoming, the net migration rates per overall net migration rate. So basically, in other words, this is the migration rate per 1,000, 3.7.
Oh, so that's a big number.
So huge number, right? And ages of 18 to 24, it's usually 1.5 to 2 people per 1,000. Okay, so the University of Wyoming, we'll just say 9,000 people that go to school there. So really, we're not talking about huge numbers.
Well, that brings up a good point, because weren't they talking on the floor today that they had the largest freshman class was like 900 and some residents?
Yeah.
I mean, so then where are all these other kids coming from that are coming to the University of Wyoming? They must be from out of state.
Well, they are, and it's fascinating, the arguments that are on the floor, because in one breath they say all our kids are leaving and we have to give them more money because to attract more of them here, and then in the very next breath they say, oh, it's an R1 research institution, and I mean, we're so proud of it. There aren't that many of them. Now wait a minute, hold on. If you're into research, doesn't that mean you want to come here?
Right.
I mean, and it is so disingenuous. Sarah, you've been kind of quiet. Why don't you chime in here?
So I read an article from the Wyoming Liberty Group, and
We like them.
They surveyed 266 students, a third of which plan to leave for better job opportunities.
Okay.
25% say it's because of the cost of living. 13% say it's quality of life, with the caveat of that being there's no place for them to go hang out with their friends.
Oh, okay.
So quality of life, I mean, to me, it's not hangout. It's, how much are my utilities going to be? I realize they're not there yet, but, we have totally different ideas of quality of life. But they did say that by the age of 30, about 60% intend to leave and not come back.
Okay, so again, I think though, when we go back to, I'm a perfect example, right? So I think I was 25, 26, took a job in Virginia. And here's the funny part about this. Sarah, you mentioned quality of life and utilities and all that. So I got a 20% raise to move to Virginia. That's a big number. Okay, so I hear that number, boss says, yeah, I'll give you a 20% raise if you come out here. And I'm like, sweet, I'm in the money. And well, when I get there, and when I did the math, I actually made less money because of the taxes.
Right, because you had state tax then too, didn't you?
Oh yeah, state tax and this wonderful thing called personal property tax. We have that here, but it's different. There, it's all of your toys. If you own a motorcycle or you own a four-wheeler or whatever, you get to pay taxes on it. Fascinating. So, I think it's kind of, I think it's important to look at the numbers, because we hear a lot of stuff on the floor and it's all anecdotal. And so one thought, and I don't know if you're still sitting there or not, Sarah, if you went through your interview, but one of the representatives got up and he's like, "Well, they're throwing a lot of numbers around here, and numbers really don't." Is Landon Brown? Okay, Landon. So if we're not going to pay attention to numbers and we're not going to craft policy on them, are we suggesting that we craft policy on your anecdotes? I mean, is that what we're saying?
Well, it sounds like it. I mean, so I'm still learning the names, so I don't know who was
Sure.
speaking at the time.
Just think Landon Brown, Rhino. No, I'm kidding. This
Well-
is a news show. We're not supposed to say that.
Somebody said that over 65% of our kids are leaving. And I'm thinking, well, I've already looked at this report, and it's around 60% of just those students, not all of the kids in Wyoming, but they're making it sound like you're going to lose all your kids. You're never going to see your grandkids if we don't put more money in this college.
I mean, I'd like to know how much more money they need.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's preposterous, the amount of cash. And if you, Sarah, have you ever visited, have you ever taken a trip and looked at the university
Yeah.
at all? All right. So you moved here from out of state. What do you think of the school?
It's a pretty campus. They have a Chick-fil-A. I mean, it looks like any other college, but the problem is that it teaches like every other college. So coming from Washington, we also have a UW, and my oldest son went there for a bachelor's degree, and he sat in a room. Number one, he was one of only 2 men getting a degree in social work.
Okay.
The only white man getting a degree in social work. So he's surrounded by women of color, and literally surrounded by, they sat him in a chair in the middle of their group and surrounded him, and for 2 hours told him why he was the problem with everything in our nation.
Wow.
No joke. So his very first paper he was failed on because he actually wrote on the material and said how it was a bunch of crap. And this is what the real facts say, because here's my research, And so after that, he's like, he just regurgitated everything he was told so that he could get his degree and get out.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
sad.
Now, you're going to love where we're going next here. So, so the $40 million cut to the University of Wyoming, the big argument on the floor is, well, this is punitive. You just pulled this out of the air. Okay, well, they didn't. Okay, so it's all based on classes, and there was, I think it may have been, it wasn't last session, it may have been the session before, but we discovered that there was something like $2.7 million that had been spent by the DEI office and the Multicultural Affairs office. All right, so and when we're talking about UW and they get $500 million a year, okay, 2.7 is not that much. But what the legislature directed the university to do is eliminate those DEI programs. They didn't do that. Sarah, you've done some looking into this. Tell us what they actually did.
So they just renamed things. So I looked up today ecofeminism on their website.
On their
just
website.
Typed in the keyword. And what came up was the name of a professor. Can I name
Yeah,
it?
let's go.
All right. Jeff Lockwood, who, according to his biography page, is professor of philosophy and a creative writing program. So he also has written books and publications and things like that. One of which is called Behind the Carbon Curtain, The Energy Industry, Political Censorship, and Free Speech. So I looked up the book. And the synopsis of the book says, a 2017 book that investigates how the fossil fuel industry uses its economic power to suppress speech and research that conflicts with its interests, using Wyoming as a case study.
And he's from the University of Wyoming.
And he's a professor at the UW. So my theory, having watched this in other schools, my kids went through, you have professors that are teaching this stuff to these kids, and they're telling them the fossil fuel industry, which is the heart and soul of Wyoming, is evil and it's destroying the planet. You won't be able to have children of your own because they're just going to die a fiery death because of fossil fuels. And so, of course, they don't want to stay here. They want to go, number one, where people think like they've been taught to think. and then they have to find a job that has nothing to do with fossil
Well,
fuels.
then it forces them out of Wyoming, out
It
of our
does.
main or
So
industries.
we're
So,
funding the very education, in quotes, that is teaching these kids to hate where they're from.
right.
Well, and there was in the joint appropriations meeting when they had the University of Wyoming there, it was President Ed Seidel, and it was an exchange between he and Representative Jeremy Haraldson, and right in the committee room, and it's worth going back and watching this. I'll look up the date, and maybe tomorrow we'll tell you how to find that. But in the exchange, Representative Haraldson says, "Now, Dr. Seidel, I am on the University of Wyoming website." And very similar thing that you described, Sarah. He says, "Now, I just typed in ecofeminism, and I can get a degree in it, and it tells me that there are 8,800 jobs." And I don't know if you noticed that on the website.
I did not. I missed it.
Okay, well, there's a little section on there that it tells you, hey, if you get this degree, there's these amount of jobs. And the question is, where are those jobs? They're certainly not in Wyoming.
No, but I bet you could get some in Washington or Oregon or California.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
we are creating the problem at the university that the legislature is trying. I guess they claim that they're going to fix.
Yeah.
So it's this really self-defeating, self-licking ice cream cone.
But they can only fix it with more of our money.
Right.
Right. That's the
Always
only way.
money.
Yeah.
Throw
Or-
more at it.
All right, so we good on that. We want to switch gears, or we got more?
I'm good.
Okay. So next topic, Wyoming Business Council.
Oh, yay.
This one was fun. So I think, we've done at the Open Range Record, we try to do a lot of research, which we know that everybody else in the media doesn't. I mean, that's pretty obvious the last couple of weeks. But we do. And there's some very interesting things about the Wyoming Business Council and some of your elected officials. What'd you find, Don?
Okay, so Trey Sherwood, she's involved with the Main Street program and the Wyoming Business Council.
Now, Trey Sherwood, hold on just a second. Trey Sherwood is on the Appropriations Committee.
Correct.
And let's be entirely fair, she did put all of this
Disclose this in her
on her disclosure form.
Yes.
So, as far as we know, in the clear.
Right. So her involvement with the Main Street program and the Wyoming Business Council is defined by her dual roles as a predominant local economic developer and a state legislator who advocates for statewide business infrastructure. Main Street program involvement, she's a central figure, primary through her long-term leadership in Laramie. She's executive director of the Laramie Main Street Alliance. She's served in this role since 2010, overseeing downtown revitalization, historic preservation, and small business support. She's gotten national recognition. She's a mentor and educator, and she's a project leader and co-founded the Laramie Mural Project and spearheaded major downtown investments, including a $3 million infill project and the acquisition of the historic Wyoming Theater.
Okay, so now Representative Sherwood was also the author of a big, gigantic amendment this afternoon, and basically it would have restored all of the funding
Right.
to the Wyoming Business Council. And I didn't go look up the amendment to get the actual dollar number, but from what I understood, it was to restore what the governor
Right.
was going, and that was like right around like $56 million or something. So, member of appropriations, what she does for a living is this business development with the business council, and she's the one that's offering the amendment. But she wasn't alone.
No, she wasn't. Pam Thayer is also involved with the Main Street program in the Wyoming Business Council. And on her disclosure form, she says she works for the city of Rawlins and she's the executive director. But what she's the executive director of is the Main Street program in Rawlins. the Rollins Downtown Development Authority and Main Street projects since 2006. So that's what she does. So she's involved with the Wyoming Business Council too. And she kind of sounded like she was lobbying for him, didn't she?
Okay,
when
well,
she was up there.
Go ahead and explain that.
She just kept, saying what all good they do and everything else, and was really wanting to try to get everybody to vote for amendments to keep that money flowing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I heard. What do you got on it, Sarah?
I was in different sessions today, so I was not there to listen to that. But I did do some research just on the whole process. Everybody heard about the $40 million or whatever, 40 jobs, and but
I don't mean to interrupt you, but let's be specific about that. So in the Wyoming Business Council's annual report, at one point they brag actually in the report that they created, I think it was 42 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the same sheet of paper it says for $40 million.
Right.
And so roughly $1 million a job.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and the CEO disputed that. He said that wasn't true. You didn't look at all the paperwork associated with it. There was other things going on.
More nuanced.
But exactly. Yes. So, no details. But what I did see was that when he testified before the committee, he was asked, how much money do you need to do your work?
Yep.
And he said about $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 billion for what? So, I mean, I'm just as a citizen sitting at home reading my news. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'd have been fired for losing 300 out of a till if I worked at the Yes Way or
Right.
something, But, they've gotten over $1 billion since their conception, both in taxpayer money and grants. And he wants $1 billion more.
Yeah. And, and for me, I mean, the money thing is a huge deal because over the entire 27 years of the Wyoming Business Council, Wyoming's GDP has gone down.
Right.
So their whole job is to increase the GDP, and it actually goes down. All right. And so the argument we hear all the time is, well, there's such a business development driver in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Well, it's frankly not true.
Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's there's a lot of projects that they talk about. They're not really creating all that many jobs.
Right.
What else did you find out?
They're paying people from out of state to come in and create jobs, which could be a good thing if you're bringing companies in and they want to set up. But personally speaking, we came to Wyoming and started a business, and we didn't go to the Wyoming Business Council,
Right.
and they didn't pay us any money.
Right.
Exactly. So the biggest problem, yeah, the money is an issue, but the biggest problem that I have is with the overall philosophy at the Wyoming Business Council. Now, there's a great video, and it's one of Josh Durrell's. Josh Durrell is he's the CEO of the Wyoming Business Council. Okay, he is the third highest paid person in Wyoming government at $24,000 a month. Hey, you can't believe that, 24 grand a month. Anyway, in this video, it's just a kind of a question and answer session. One of his board members pipes up and he says, well, if you don't understand what we do, you're kind of a Neanderthal. Like he straight up called the members of appropriations Neanderthals. I mean, so that's the starting point. If you don't agree, you're stupid,
Yeah. So my question would be, is there anybody tracking people who've gone to them for money and been denied?
That's a good question. I know that not that long ago, I think it was Representative Tom Kelly who said that that he exposed what they called their Kickstart program.
Right.
And I saw the ad, and it said, enter our contest to win funding from the Wyoming Business Council. Wait a minute. So you are picking winners and losers?
So it's like a lottery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But to answer your question about is anybody tracking how many people get turned down, I don't know.
Do you even know how many applied?
Well, good question, right? The transparency, and that's the other issue,
Yes.
I think, with the business council is the They're kind of a quasi-government agency, which is weird.
Is that like the private-public
Oh,
partnerships?
kind of, yeah.
Don't
But
get me started on that.
Tax money, but no transparency.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But they're pretty opaque, really. So just a couple of projects that I think our viewers might be interested in. My personal favorite is they gave $2 million to a cosmetics company in Jackson. Now this gal, she takes herbs and flowers from the not the national forest, the national park, and then she makes cosmetics out of them. But here's the kicker: when she got the grant, she was already selling her products at Sephora.
Jeez.
No, wait a minute. If you are doing that,
Why do you need extra money?
yeah, well, why do you need extra money? Another one. It was $20 million for a berry farm in Laramie. Okay, now my hiking days, my high country hiking days are probably over, which they never really were there anyway. But when you get up pretty high, it's kind of hard to find berries. And so we're going to grow berries, and it was actually like this vertical garden thing. But they went bankrupt. And there has been a lot of projects that didn't pan out.
What about Gunworks?
That's another one. That's a big one.
Is
And
that one in Sheridan or Cody?
no, that one's in Cody.
Yeah.
Now, the worst one out of them that I've heard of was Cody Labs.
Right.
And there was over 80 people that were employed there, and overnight the company moved out. 80 people lost their job like that.
Wow.
And so that's the stuff that we get from the Wyoming Business Council.
That is crazy.
But I mean, I thought they were necessary.
I've never heard of an organization like this before.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now the other part of it, and I mentioned that, my biggest complaint with them is the overall philosophy. So this guy named Josh Durrell, on my program, I interviewed him twice.
Remember this?
The first time, I'm trying to get his idea of the free market. And he says, quote, "The free market is working against us." And you can hear it. It's one of my favorite sound bites, but I about lose it on it. I'm like, "Whoa."
Against him?
Yeah, yeah. The free market is working against us. Another one, and I just want to, I absolutely want to get your reaction to this, the two of you. So in the Appropriations Committee, he says that it's his job to create an economic system. What do you think about that?
As opposed to capitalism?
As opposed to the system we already have?
Okay.
Yep. He again tells the committee that the free market really is just an idea that really is only at ivory towers. That it's a model. It really doesn't work. And the most offensive thing that I think I've heard that guy say, I mean, aside from all the other offensive stuff he says, is that in order to succeed in business, you have to have government.
Yeah.
That's almost an
Yes.
exact quote.
I should tell my husband that.
You should. You should.
The government's the problem.
Yeah.
So what? And let's go there. So Sarah, you guys own a business. What do you guys do?
And my husband is a contractor.
Okay, so like homes or
He does homes, but he has a maintenance contract with Walmart. So he travels all over the country and fixes things that break.
and did he get money from the Wyoming Business Council?
Absolutely not. I wish, but no.
Well, it's and it's the philosophy, and we heard this pretty much all day, that it's kind of the philosophy of a lot of our lawmakers that without them, things don't happen. That you can't build a business unless you have the Wyoming Business Council, which is patently absurd. I mean, just absolutely wrong.
Right. Well, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, and we've never gone to the government to get our businesses started.
Well, and
So-
we're right in the middle of a brand new business, and it takes a lot of work, and I know that you two get irritated. I'm like, hey, you're going to be on the show tonight.
An hour before.
Yeah.
It wasn't an hour. It was like 2.
Yesterday it was an hour.
Yesterday it was an hour. That's true. All right. So what else do we got?
On the topic of
Wyoming Business Council.
Wyoming business. Well, I have to tie it back in with the kids leaving from school.
Okay.
Is that in the same study by Wyoming Liberty Group? He is quoted as saying that he can fix the reasons why these kids leave with housing and childcare.
Oh, so more affordable housing and free childcare?
Is that what he's talking about?
I didn't see free,
Well,
but it said housing and childcare.
well, I'm sure.
And he can make that happen.
Well, that's because they want that pre-K. The Wyoming Education Association wants that in brick and mortar. So then you can just take your kids there for daycare and
And then they get your kids 2 years
Yep.
earlier.
Yep.
Well, and that is from a bill last year. The ESA
Right.
bill, the way that they got it through is there was an amendment on it to create universal pre-K. Now, I don't have any kids of my own. You two do. Let's talk about what some of the dangers of that would be.
Well, like you just said, you get them 2 years earlier to indoctrinate them, and then
Exactly.
you're kind of like way screwed as far as your kids go. You're
Homeschooling.
not going to have any more say in, what they do. It's the government raising your kids.
Well, and I think, and it's kind of a shame that one of our other journalists, Laura Pavey, isn't here.
Oh, yeah.
Laura is very involved with Moms for Liberty, and she's been watching a lot of the education stuff
Yeah.
that's been going on. And it is a fight with school boards to get involved with your kids. In some cases, to even be able to get a copy of the curriculum.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of things that that we have created, and the Business Council is just one of those. The University of Wyoming is another one. That, man, if government would get out of the way, I mean, business could succeed. I
Right.
think. Okay. So what else do we have? We kind of run down our list, did we?
I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tomorrow is going to be no, they can't do third reading on the budget tomorrow. So, because they have to have a day in between. And so what's going to happen in the legislature tomorrow is that they'll probably be going over a lot of bills. Let me just pull my iPad up here again. And we'll go over some of the bills that they're going to talk about tomorrow. Let's see, mileage.gov. So what are some of the bills that you guys are watching?
Oh, I think that isn't the sexually explicit material House Bill 10
That'll be up.
on third reading. And I think, is there another amendment on there?
I'm sure that there is. Let's see here. Floor calendar, that would be meeting. Let's see here. That's tomorrow. So let's just look at some of the bills that are up here. All right. So we've got the Fast Track Permits Act. I think that's a good one because it's one of the biggest problems for business. And if you're in Sheridan, you've probably heard me tell this story before. But when we were building my wife's salon, I submitted all the permits, and it took over a month to get approved to even start construction. And so House Bill 2, which is the Fast Track Permits Act, it would just speed that process up. And it's actually sponsored by, well, he's a Republican now, but he was a Democrat. He still acts like a Democrat, but it's Lee Filer. Next one, we got the blockchain bill, House Bill 17. We haven't talked about that, Dawn, but you wrote a piece about that.
Yeah, and I just was kind of putting out the pros and cons about it. But I thought it was more like a governance bill, like what they're going to do, how they're going to set up the governance of that project.
All right, so let me just read to you what the introduction of the bill says. So if you're unaware of how to use wildledge.gov, you go look up a bill, and it's pretty easy to find the bill. And they'll be in a big giant list, and you go to, we'll just start out, and I'll just guide you through it, how to do it. So you pull wildledge.gov up, and on my iPad, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. And then down at the bottom, you'll see calendars, committees, legislation, and legislators. And if you pull up session information, and then go to the particular day, let's see, I think I just told you wrong. I did. It's legislative meetings, sorry. legislative meetings, and then it'll tell you what's on the calendar for that day. And it kind of looks like that. I don't know if you can see it. Lights are too. See, I got lights now, and I haven't learned how to use them. So if you go to details, then it will give you all the bills. And so you just click on the hyperlink, and it'll pull the bill up. So House Bill 17.
They just kind of want to move who gets to deal with it right away, so they don't have to wait for an interim committee or whatever to when the Minerals Committee meets again, I believe.
Yeah, so here's what it says. An act relating to the legislature amending the name and duties of the Select Committee on Blockchain, Financial Technology, and Digital Innovation, amending the sponsorship authority of the Select Committee, and making conforming amendments. But if you read down through the bill, Part A says, not later than March 15th following general election, the Select Committee on Blockchain and Emerging Technology shall be appointed subject of, and then it's this long list of developed knowledge and emerging technology, and essentially the bill pretty much grants the authority over any emerging technology, at least this is the way I
Right.
read it, to this committee. Kind of a problem, if I think so. I mean, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, they've passed so much stuff here lately. When they were trying to pass them sandboxes, if you ever
Okay,
read
explain.
into some of those, it was basically like they were going to give you 2 years where you could set up this sandbox, like to start this business, and you didn't basically have to follow any of the rules. You just got to do your own thing to see how it was going to go. It was kind of a scary
So it's like
situation.
a business incubator type thing?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
and there was kind of no rules about it. It was really scary. And that's kind of what this to me sounds like. And I know that Representative Singh is going to say something to me.
Well,
but-
Representative Singh can come on the show and we can talk to him about it. All right, so this next one, I kind of like it. It's House Bill 22. And this one is the recall of elected municipal officers. So I want to start with Sarah on this one because I've read a lot of stuff about crazy things happening in Washington and other places with recalling elected officials. So we'll start off with you, and then we'll just kind of go around the room here.
So you want to know how it works in Washington?
Yeah.
So you have to gather enough signatures. It's a percentage of the voters. And then they have to be verified by whoever it is. Sometimes it's the party, sometimes it's a judge. And if you get enough signatures that aren't rejected, and they reject them for everything they can possibly think of, then you get permission to create an initiative to go on a ballot. And so over the last 3 years, every year for the last 3 years, the legislature has been trying to push a bill to do away with the initiative process.
The recall, right.
No, initiatives altogether.
Altogether.
No more initiatives. So far, they haven't done it, but every year they bring it forward. So I know that the recall. I wrote a resolution in our county, but the same day I brought it to our caucus, it had been presented on the floor. So we scrapped it because they're already working on it. It's like, yes, this is awesome.
Okay, so in Wyoming, there is no recall statute.
Right.
Okay, there's a caveat here because there is a law that says if you have a commission-style government, then you can recall elected officials. Well, a commission-style government is kind of like a school board, kind of. And years ago, like well over 100 years ago, Wyoming towns, almost all of them, moved away from a commission-style government in favor of a city council and a mayor. And so that statute no longer applied. So let me just read to you kind of the bullet points on House Bill 22. So the first one says, a petition shall be signed by at least 25% of all registered electors and demanding an election of a successor of the person sought to be removed. So there's your petition. The signatures to the petition shall not be appended to be one per paper. Okay, so there's all the signers. Within 10 days from the date of filing the petition, the clerk shall determine whether or not it's valid. And then any person, and here we get towards the end of it. So any person sought to be removed may be a candidate to succeed himself. So if they remove him, okay, the guy can apply again. Maybe there was, he's learned his lesson or whatever. um, and then let's see here. Within writing 10 days, and let's see, the last part of it says, in any removal special election, the candidate receiving the highest number of votes is elected. So petition, vote to remove him, and then we have a special election. Okay, so I think this is something that we need. Dawn, you've been pretty quiet about this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because I think that in some city governments and stuff, you get people that, well, even a lot of times they don't even show up to do their duty.
Yeah.
So why not be able to get rid of them?
Well,
And especially if you find that there's a little bit of malfeasance going on.
okay, let me
and-
play devil's advocate. Finish your
Yeah.
thought, and then.
But anyways, just as far as the administration of a city or a town, the town council, a lot of times there's things that go on and people don't do their jobs. So a perfect idea, well, not idea, but when, let's go back to the Wyoming Business Council and all
Oh,
these.
can we please?
Yes. And so they got the business community ready grants or whatever, and they want to do
Business ready
infrastructure.
community
Yeah.
grant, yeah.
The infrastructure and everything in cities and towns. That's one of the deals that I don't get is if the money would just come right back to the town, let them spend it on the infrastructure, but then you go down the line and they're not keeping up on the maintenance of stuff. I think that would be the reason why to get rid of some of these people because they're not doing their job and they're not being, what's the right word for, being good stewards of our money, So that's why I think it's a good idea.
All right, so I think the devil's advocate argument here is this is something that could potentially happen over and over and over. You see a
Because
lot
of
of
a
this.
personal
You see a lot of this in
animosity.
California.
Yeah.
There's almost always some sort of recall thing
Right.
happening there. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting bill. Some other things that are kind of in the hopper. We have the heartbeat bill. I think that's super important.
Right.
Dawn, you've got was it Dawn? No, I think it was Laura Pavey that has an article about the pro-life bills, isn't it? Or is that you?
I had one that I gave to you like way back when the decision was made
Yeah.
by the Supreme Court that I never seen come across open range record.
Well, I might see. I just got in trouble. I'm pretty sure it's there somewhere.
Called
But
out.
anyways, it's kind of close to my heart. Both my kids are adopted. We had a problem, difficulties having kids of our own. So both of them are adopted. And, if their mothers decided to, abort them, then I wouldn't have them.
Right.
So, yeah. So
So-
I think this is an important bill.
I think it is. It's sponsored by Representative Nyman. And, there's a lot of folks in the legislature that are what I would call pro-life warriors. I mean, they're just
Right.
not letting anything stop them. So, as I'm sure most of you know, right now in Wyoming, pretty much you can have an abortion up till
Give
viability.
birth, yeah.
I mean, it's really sick. But we've got a couple of bills. The heartbeat bill is one of them. And again, we have a court problem in Wyoming. The Wyoming Supreme Court threw out the last two abortion bans. And so I don't know what will happen with this one, but we're watching it. All right, so I think that'll about do it for tonight's episode. I know we're a little bit, well, actually, we're not. We're just 6 minutes short. So thank you once again for Dawn and Sarah. Appreciate
for
you sitting
having
in
us.
on the program. And we'll be back tomorrow. Again, if you like the content, if you don't like the content, if you want to see some things change, make sure you tell us. And this is all something new, and we're all kind of learning as we go. But thank you for watching. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back tomorrow.